Hello everyone, welcome back to Too Sweet MTG and welcome to another Cube Tuesdays. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over some of the changes that I've recently made to my cube. I'm going to be going over some of the cards that I'm testing in my cube right now, and also some of the new packages that I've added. The first place to probably start though is with some of the cuts. Links to my cube and everything I'm looking at will be down in the description below, but firstly let's go over some of the big changes that I've made recently. So here we have the last two updates that I've done. I think the most important place to start is with this one. Jace the Mind Sculptor has been cut from my cube. Jace hasn't been doing as much as it used to. It's still a very powerful magic card, but just the makeup of my cube is way more creature-based. This kind of slower planeswalker that doesn't really impact the board too much just isn't really cutting it nowadays, especially in my cube. It's definitely a card that could come back again in the future. One of the reasons that I've cut it is that I've removed some of the top of the deck matter stuff that I was testing from my cube. That archetype didn't really work out as I planned. Basically, I was the only one who ever drafted it, and it wasn't really powerful enough, so we're trying something new. Another big cut in blue at 4 is Opposition. And although my cube is quite creature heavy, it doesn't really support opposition in the way that other cubes do. Like, I don't have any of like the green 5-drops that spit out squirrels or anything like that, so you're really just tapping down things with people's Llanowar Elves. But partly because creatures have just got so efficient and so good, by the time this comes out, your opponent generally already has a board state they can hit you in the face with, and this kind of falls into a 4-mana do-nothing enchantment a lot of the time, so we're testing it with some new things, we're seeing what else we can do with it. Another one I'm cutting, which has been in my queue for quite a while, is Ravagers of War. Basically, I saw the Mitgo Vintage Cube going down to just one of these effects, so Armageddon is still in, Ravagers of War is coming out. They're just better things that white can do at 4 nowadays, and it doesn't need 2 of these effects anymore. The rest of the cuts are mainly just to make way for new, cooler things. Because I tend to go a bit overboard when I'm trying new archetypes, I'm cutting things like Experimental Synthesizer, I'm cutting things like Consecrated Sphinx for the wheel deck. These are kind of the worst cards in those archetypes. Those archetypes have done very well. We're kind of reining it back a bit to try new things. All right, so let's go over the new things that we're testing in the new additions. Like all these ones in colors we'll kind of go through in a bit more detail, but this is the cube in general. Firstly, we'll go over the Lord of the Rings cards that are still in my cube. I won't stick on these too much because we've spoken about these quite a lot. Samwise has been a good little value creature. I think it's solid in mono white, and the ability to get back kind of fetch lands and strip mine is quite nice. Reprieve has just been awesome. We've been testing this for months now, since the moment it was spoiled. People have definitely kind of settled to a good level with it. People aren't pack one, pick oneing it anymore, but it's still seeing a lot of play and it's still very good. Flowering of the White Tree I did bring in because I was trying like a Legends Matter thing. That one didn't really work, but Flowering the White Tree just has been solid. Without even supporting Legends, plenty of the creatures in my cube are naturally legendary because that's kind of like the downside with a lot of things nowadays. And just a 2-mana Anthem in white has been quite good. Stern Scolding, I'm still not 100% sure on yet, if I'm honest with you. This could very much be miscalculation. We're just giving it a test. I haven't really played with it enough to kind of like give a full answer on it yet, whether it's better than Miscalc or some of the worst counterspells that cubes are running. Orcish Bowmasters is an insanely stupid card. If you're in any kind of high-powered level cube, you should be running this. It's one of the best creatures out there. It's just a great value creature and is also immense in the wheel decks as well. But saying Orcish Bowmasters is broken is not really a hot take anymore. Everyone knows this card is good. I'm trying out Troll of Khazad-dûm for the Swamp Cycling base. I actually cut Grave Titan for this. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, but I do like this creature. The fact that it can put itself in the graveyard means that you can reanimate it on turn 2. I do actually quite like. At some point, I might try the full cycle of the land cyclers from Lord of the Rings, so I do think they're all very good. Like Halfling has been really good. I've also brought in Oko and 3-mana Teferi recently. Just this casting those on turn 2 is disgusting. Your opponent can't interact with them. It's just been very good. 4th Aerlingus is broken in half. I truly love this card. So many decks have been splashing either white, red, or both white and red to play this card. It just ends games, but also you can play this on turn 2 and just get the Monarch straight away. Sail into the West is one we definitely missed on our set review. It is a draw 7, but it's not forcing your opponent to do it, so it's not really here for the wheel deck. It's more just like a nice value card for some of the other big mana, big spells deck. And in those decks, just more draw 7s is more draw 7s. It's pretty good. And then Aragon King of Gondor has been another good one. Just like this is a top end for a control deck. It just win games. Yes, it's 4 colors, but the fixing is very good in my cube with fetch lands and triomes. It's just been really good. And then one card I've definitely missed when tagging the Lord of the Rings card is the One Ring itself. This has just been very good. We all know that this is a good card. It's kind of like a Time Walk that draws you a bunch of cards. There's a load of artifact synergies in my cube, and this just goes in there really nicely. Right, we'll quickly touch on the 3 Wildspell Drain cards that I'm testing. Gruff Triplets, I really like the look of. I have cut Old One Eye for this, which I think by itself, Old One Eye is definitely a better 6-drop just at beating down your opponent. But this does some cool stuff with like Sneak Attack and Flash, which I'm running as well. We'll go over the Flash package in a bit more detail in a little bit, but I think Gruff Triplets is just a cool aggressive creature at a base level and does some cool synergies if you're cheating it into play. Mosswood Dread Knight is just a good value creature. It'll go in kind of like the Gruul beatdown deck because it's a 2-mana 3/2 with trample. That's pretty good. But then I'm not really sure what to do with Golgari, and this just seems like a good generic Golgari card. So maybe the way I need to go with Golgari is just kind of just lean into what the archetype is good at, and that's just grinding value mid-range, because mid-range is good in my cube because I've got no fast mana. So I think this could be a nice addition. We'll give it a go. We'll see how it is. Then the last card we're testing is Sir Ginger the Meal Ender. I kind of realized that I was just running original Ginger Brute in my cube, and even with an artifact aggro deck in this cube, Ginger Brute is a little bit underpowered, so we got a rare version. We'll stick it in. We'll see how it does. I'm kind of expecting this one to do quite well at a base level. It's a good aggressive body, and also the fact that like Oko and other big planeswalkers are in here now means that that ability to take out a planeswalker might actually be quite relevant. So we'll see how it plays. All right, let's jump into some of the packages that I'm testing out at the moment. So Humans has been in and out of my cube quite a lot. So the main packages for Humans that I've run before is things like Champion of the Parish, Thais Lieutenant, and Adeline Resplendent Cathar. These kind of reward you specifically for playing Humans. Eomer we brought in from Lord of the Rings. I probably should have spoken about that when we're talking about Lord of the Rings cards, actually. It's a 5-mana 2/2 double strike that gets bigger when you control a load of humans, which is kind of what the Humans deck is looking to do anyway. It comes in, makes you the Monarch, and then can remove a threat. Eomer seems really cool. Like, a lot of my white and red, just like aggressive creatures are naturally Humans anyway. These are more the cards that kind of like synergize and bring the whole thing together. The reason I've put Humans back in is because of this card, Greymond Avacyn Stalwart. So this was Rick from the Walking Dead set. They just reprinted this as a Magic card, not as a Universes Beyond card, and I've been wanting to give it a go for quite a while. Greymond Avacyn Stalwart is 2 white for a 3/4 legendary creature human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, choose 2 abilities from among First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Humans you control have each of the chosen abilities, and as long as you control 4 or more humans you control get +2/+2. I generally think this is probably one of the best Humans out there for a human sub-theme in a cube. We're playing with this in a couple of days' time. I'm expecting this to do really, really well. This is a fantastic 4-drop, and like, you compare this to like Ravagers of War. You can see the power creep. This card looks insane. I'm really looking forward to testing it. And I think like these 5 cards are a good little package to kind of like reward people for specifically drafting Humans. As I said, if you just look at my cheap aggressive creatures, like you have Kythian, Mother of Runes, Student of Warfare, Thraben Inspector, Usher of the Fallen, makes Humans, Cathar Commander. Like, there's just so many Humans in both of these sections that it should be quite easy to slot in there. Another little package that I'm testing is this kind of big spell package. Basically, you're using cards like Dream Halls and Mizzix's Mastery to cast really stupid spells like Magma Opus, Cruel Ultimatum, and Inspired Ultimatum. You then also have Shark Typhoon to reward you for when you do cast these big spells, because it'll make you a absolutely massive flying shark. And then Torrential Gearhulk is kind of on the outside of this package because it can only really cast the Magma Opus because it's an instant. This is one that James was talking about in the Mitgo Vintage Cube, and it looks really fun. And because it's only like these 7 cards to really give it a test, I think it's worth giving a go. I've been looking to try and make a big spells thing work for a while. Like, I was considering running like double visions, like the big 5 and 6 mana enchantments that double up all your spells. But with this, we just cheat cast them with like Dream Halls or casting them from our graveyard with Mizzix's Mastery. There's already plenty of looting stuff in my cube anyway, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue, like fueling the graveyard, putting in Magma Opus or your ultimatums in the bin and then flashing them back with an overloaded Mizzix's Mastery. That seems pretty easy already and seems really, really cool, so we want to give that a go. I'm hoping this should work out quite nicely. Then this little selection of cards here is to help try and beef up the 5-color deck. Basically, as I've said plenty of times, the mana in my cube is fantastic now, because again, we have the Triomes, there's Talismans in there, there's Fetch Lands, there's Original Duels, there's Shocks. The mana is fantastic. The 5-color deck has definitely kind of struggled a little bit, so I'm trying to give it a little bit of a boost with cards like Leyline's Binding. Basically, this is just a removal spell that only the 5-color deck will want, and it's going to be very, very good in that, because you can cast this on turn 2 for just a single mana if you get 2 Triomes into play. That's quite nice. Territorial Kabu was already in. It's kind of in there as a sort of madness card, because it does let you discard something when it attacks. But the fact the domain is there as well means it could be a 2-mana 5/5 that we like. Golos has been in for quite a while. This is kind of like the archetypal 5-color payoff card. You can go and get any good lands like from your deck and put them into play. And then we have Scion of Draco. Again, I am not 100% sure how this one's going to go. This is kind of a big artifact that kind of like you're not really going to be tinkering for. You're not going to be Goblin Weldering into play. Basically, it is there as a payoff for the 5-color deck. I'm not sure about this one yet. We're giving it a go. We'll see how it is. If you have any ideas for the 5-color deck, do let me know down in the comments. I would be interested in seeing them. It would definitely help me out. This next section, I've just labeled as like broken, because I'm not really sure how else to describe it. So basically, I wanted to bring in Displacer Kitten just because this does some really disgusting things. Again, from talking with James and a few other people, that Displacer Kitten plus Tameo goes infinite with any kind of artifact that makes you mana when you sack it. So Lion's Eye Diamond, Lotus Petal. With the Space Kitten as well, you do just kind of trip over your combos. I think there's too many to actually kind of mention. So this is something I do want to test because it does seem quite broken. And actually, this came in to replace Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is kind of like forcing the blue players to kind of do something, which I think is quite good, rather than just kind of sitting there fate-thinning your opponent, that kind of thing. It makes it more proactive and is very, very powerful, which I do quite like. The other things that I'm bringing in this broken section, we're giving Channel a go. There's no super fast mana in my cube. Basically, the rule I've made for my cube is no fast mana without any kind of drawback. I'm not sure if, like, Channel is very much skating that line. The drawback, I guess, is you have to be double green and you are paying life for it. That is quite loose. Your payoff has to be colorless, so you do have to do a bit of work for it. That's kind of my thinking. Channel could come out very, very quickly, basically. I do think of Channel as more of a power card. It is banned in so many formats. Actually, yes. You can play one of it in Vintage, apparently. That is all you can do with Channel. So that's probably a sign that it's quite a broken Magic card. I didn't actually know it was banned in Commander. That makes sense. Okay, good. But the point of it is it's cube. This is where you can play with these kind of insanely broken cards. So we'll give it a go. This could come out very, very quickly. Especially as the things we're going to be cheating into play with it are things like Emrakul, the Aeon Storm. This is a new one that I've added to kind of go with Channel. And also Oath of Druid, which I think could be quite nice. I do kind of want to build the only creature in my deck is Emrakul, load of Planeswalkers, load of card draw spell, and then Oath of Druid into play. That does seem like a lot of fun. Emrakul is another big, bad, broken card. There's no I have any reanimator stuff in my cube for it. Like you need instant speed reanimation effects, which there aren't too many of. None of those are in my cube right now, unless... Okay, actually, Necromancy, I think, does it. Necromancy will bring it into play at instant speed from the graveyard, so that's quite nice. There's a lot of text on Necromancy. The top part lets you play it at instant speed, but you sack it at end of turn. It's not the end of the world, because you get to hit with a big Emrakul, which we love. To go along with that section, we're also doing like a big cheat section, so let's have a look at that now. So the big cheat section includes things like Channel and Oath of Druid, as we've kind of gone over. It also includes Dream Halls, because you can cast any spell with this if you discard a card of the same color. But this is where things like Flash, Sneak Attack, and Show and Tell come in. There is a ton of big creatures already in my cube. There's a ton of Eldrazi, there's a ton of big artifact creatures, but we specifically added things like Woodfall Primus, World Spineworm, and Triplicate Titan. So with all of these, if you Sneak Attack or Flash them into play, they will die straight away. So the Woodfall Primus will come back as a 5/5, but it'll destroy 2 permanents as it's coming in. That's quite good. The World Spineworm will die, but it'll leave you with 3 5/5s. That's very good. The Triplicate Titan leaves you with 3 3/3s, and then there's also the Gruff Triplets as well that does a similar thing. This is kind of the Sneak, Flash, Show and Tell package. Basically, I'm being greedy with this. I love Sneak Attack. I want to make Sneak Attack awesome again. This is my attempt at it. Fortunately, this video is coming out after our next cube. If I see any of these cards in the first 5 picks, we are forcing it. We're going all in. I really want to do this. This is one of my favorite decks to do. And when it comes together, it's insanely powerful and very stupid. And I'm hoping to do something dumb with it. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Right, 2 last changes to go over. One out I didn't mention is we've cut Demonic Consultation. Basically, that was an instant win, basically, with Thassa's Oracle. It's the instant that lets you go through your deck until you find a named card. You name a card that's not in your deck. You basically win then with Thassa's Oracle or Jace Wielder of Mysteries because you have no cards left in your deck, so you win with these. My playgroup basically came to me and said, like, this is too good. It's the only 2-card instant speed win out there, basically. The thing is, people still liked winning with Jace Wielder of Mysteries and Thassa's Oracle. So the way we've got around that is by putting in Inverter of Truth and good old Doomsday. These do a similar type of thing, but it makes you jump through the extra hoop. Like normally with Doomsday, you're not winning on the turn that you Doomsday, you're winning the turn after normally. So basically this allows us to have the deck that wins with no cards left in your library, but it makes it slightly trickier. It rebalances the power level. I think that's a nice place for it to be. People have loved Doomsday so far. Inverter of Truth I don't think has seen play yet. We've only done 1 cube with this new version of the package in. And the thing is, people like Doomsday. Doomsday is a cool card. If you can set it up and do it, it's cooler, basically, than just the, okay, Demonic Consultation, I win, here we go. Doomsday, you have to put work into. It's more deck construction. It's very cool, and people have really liked it so far. And then the last little package I brought in is Witherbloom Apprentice and Chain of Smog. For those who don't know, this is an infinite combo, because Witherbloom Apprentice has Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Chain of Smog says, target player discards 2 cards from his or her hand. That player may copy this spell, and may choose new targets for the copy. Basically, if you have a Witherbloom Apprentice in play and you cast a Chain of Smog, you just keep picking yourself. You can technically still be discarding cards even if you don't have any in hand. You can copy it infinitely and the Witherbloom Apprentice will drain out your opponent. This kind of 2-card combo is interesting. I'm not sure how well it's going to work in my 540, but basically I wanted to give something interesting for Golgari to do. A lot of the cool combo decks of the past are kind of like in control decks. So like Splinter Twin combo back in the day was more kind of like a mid-rangey control deck. It had a lot of answers, it was controlling the board, and then you got to your combo. That's kind of how I think Golgari could be in the future. You're leaning into the good parts of Golgari. Like, it's very good at killing things, gumming up the board, grinding away with value. A combo like this gives it something to then build towards. It gives it kind of a silver bullet. So while I'm not 100% sure this is specifically the way to end a game in Golgari, that kind of like little combo for it to have to kind of push it over the edge, I think it's interesting, and it's definitely something I'm going to be looking out for in the future. Maybe some different kind of combos in those colors to give it something cool to do. Right, that was everything I wanted to talk about today. Again, my list will be down in the description if you want to have a look yourself. Let me know what you think about what I've spoken about today. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. Was I correct cutting Jace the Mind Sculptor? It's 2023. Has Jace seen its last cube? Because I'll be honest, I'm looking at my 4s. Space Skin's kind of cooler. Urza has a high upside. Like Memory Deluge, maybe, but you need a density of instant sorceries in a cube. Let me know what you think. I'd be interesting to hear it. But anyway, until next time, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.